The story begins here. She thought, the illegitimate child of a wealthy conglomerate family. How romantic is that? Especially for a girl. If it were a character in a novel or drama, he looked at her and thought she would be the protagonist of a Cinderella story. But the reality is, she took the picture and thought, this wasn't a novel or a drama. He put his hand on her shoulder and said, she will be living in this house from now on. He also said that she may have a different mother, but she is still your younger sister. Take good care of her. She walked and thought she was going to call her the child who couldn't even beg somewhere. The child whose life was better when she lived with her mother in a tiny room. Whose life had become so unbearable, she longed to be sent to an orphanage. She thought, the child in that family was me. The Duke came back with a bag and thought, the present day, 6 years later. The Duke shouted and said, my eldest brother, that son of AB*TCH. She thought, God damn, father, why put him in charge of moving me out? The Duke said, he knows how much those sons of B*cheese harassed me. Might as well tell me to live on the streets. The Duke also said that all he cares about is his heir. She became very glad and said, whatever? Ho! I'm free now. She thought, be quiet. I'm sorry. Today, I'm finally liberated from that house. What days of suffering led up to this? My older half-brothers who persecuted me, both at home and at school. My father, who didn't care about whatever they did. She thought, I got into a prestigious university in order to escape that hellish family. And now I have finally won my freedom. The Duke said I did it. They were very happy, and she thought, my grim days are over now. I'm going to work hard at school, make a bunch of friends, and be happy. Hey, did you guys finish it? I'm playing on hard mode now, but the affection score won't go up at all. She was walking with her friend and thought, do you really think they designed it for you to play? I'm pretty sure you'll have to use money. The Duke asked her friend. What are they talking about? She looked at her and said, oh, you don't know? It's the game that's all the rage right now. She thought, a game? She took a mobile and looked at the screen and thought, daughter of the Duke Love Project. She became angry and said, this looks so cheesy. How did a game with this name get trendy? They were glad to see her and thought, I promise you won't regret it. Just try it out. She touched the screen and thought, I'm not that interested. But this is all they're talking about at school, so maybe I can just get a sense of what it's about. It's my day off anyway. She still tapped the screen and thought, let's see. This game is divided between 2 modes, normal and hard. I should try normal first, I guess. She looked at the screen and thought, oh, this must be the opening sequence. She explained the history. Yvonne, an ordinary country girl, just turning 18 this year, is actually the Duke's youngest daughter, who had disappeared 6 years ago. She had forgotten her identity and lived as a commoner all this time. But on the day she returns to the Duke's household, she's already inundated with fantastic events and curious new relationships. Win over the various male characters and raise their affection scores. Dispose of the meddling Villainess to accumulate wealth and fame. When she was with him, she thought, if you accumulate 100% affection with any one character, you will receive a proposal of love, and the game will end. She was surprised and thought, what the? It's simple. Isn't it a bit predictable? These illustrations are pretty, though. I have a lecture in the morning tomorrow, so I'll just start this and sleep early. 3 hours later. She woke up and thought I didn't sleep. She still looked at the screen and thought, what is this? It's more fun than I expected. The system is unique, and the lineup is solid. Look at the illustration quality. She was shocked and thought, and it strangely feels like I'm watching my own story. The heroine forgets her identity and lives in poverty until she returns to the Duke's household. I also became a part of my father's wealthy family, and there are even the 2 older brothers who are wary of the sudden appearance of their little sister. Though there's still a huge gap between the predicaments of me and the heroine, Yvonne. My brothers, please wait for me. She also thought, the brothers are among the main male characters. Well, taming them is fun in its own way too. She also thought, the unique thing about normal mode is that the love interest's affection score starts at 30%. It's fun, but it's too easy even for a beginner like me. They should call it easy instead of normal. She thought, taking the phone in her hand, that I ended up getting all the way to the end. Is there anything else I can do? She said, all complete. Normal mode has been cleared. What is this? You are now able to purchase the game's hidden ending. The cost is. Would you like to purchase the hidden ending? You can earn the hidden ending for free by clearing hard mode. She shouted and said, 100,000 won? Why is a single ending so expensive? Illegitimate child of a wealthy family * reality, poor. She thought, is there no other way? She was surprised and thought, you can earn the hidden ending for free by clearing hard mode. Oh right, there was a hard mode too. But I have to clear that as well. She thought, it's so late already, and I have class tomorrow, oh whatever, how hard could hard mode be? When I look back, the good feelings of the ending had made me momentarily crazy. I wouldn't have acted that way normally. She smiled and said, oh, fascinating. The villainess is the heroine now. Villainess Penelope Eckhart thought, in hard mode, the story develops from the perspective of the villainess, Penelope Eckhart. The Duke's fake daughter who enters the Duke's household instead of his lost daughter. What events could have unfolded before Yvonne returned? Learn about her story in hard mode. Villainous Penelope Eckhart put her hands on ears and shouted. Ugh! Again! I died again! Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. Why is this so extremely difficult? I know it's hard move, earning favor is challenging enough as a villainess, but one wrong decision and game over. Villainous, Penelope Eckhart again shouted and thought. And it's gruesome that every game over is death. Penelope died helplessly from the Crown Prince's sword. Dead end? This goddamn game. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also thought about her. She seemed so evil in normal move. But now that I'm in her shoes, she didn't even do anything wrong. Why the heck are they like this? Villainous Penelope Eckhart tapped her finger on the screen of Mob and thought. Just survive once, just once. Initially, I just wanted the hidden ending, but I actually like playing it now. Villainous Penelope Eckhart still thought. What did the villainess do wrong? She's just a villainess because she was given the bad role. I want to see this poor villainess survive, and win over just one person and live happily. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked at him and thought. In the imaginations the heroine wins everyone's love so effortlessly in easy mode, she also thought. In contrast, the villainess's predicament becomes more unfortunate no matter how much she begs for affection. The villainess in hard move. Whose every end is death. If you feel like it's unfair, go tell father. When villainess Penelope Eckhart and her brother looked at her, she thought. You can't, can you? Father doesn't even pay attention to you. No one cares if you starve or not. Get bullied at school or don't because... He smiled and said to her, you aren't really our family. She became sad and thought. I saw myself in the villainess. And so after dying countless times, Duke said, those goddamn brothers, they just want to see me die again and again. I will make sure to see you to your... Villainous Penelope Eckhart pressed the button of restart of Mob and thought. I can buy affection with money. No, I'm crazy. Reset, reset, reset. I would restart and then die. Then start again. Mob fell down from her hand, and she thought. But even as dawn was breaking, I hadn't even come close to the hidden ending. She looked surprised and thought. So annoyed. She closed her eyes and thought again. I'm going to start again, until the villainess's end, isn't death. The servant said. My lady, villainous Penelope Eckhart opened her eyes and slightly heard. My lady, wake up. The servant said to her. My lady? Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. Is she calling for me? She thought. Oh right. Yesterday night. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. When I opened my eyes, I found myself here instead of my bed, and I had become someone else. I prayed and prayed all night, but it really wasn't a dream after all. Villainous Penelope Eckhart was shocked and thought. I really turned into the villainess of the game, Penelope Eckhart. She put her hand on the couch, shouted, and said, Ack. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked surprised and thought. What is that? My arm hurts as if it was struck by lightning. What? She glanced and thought. What is this? Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked at her arm and was shocked. Tiny puncture points? Prickle. The servant said to her. You are awake now. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked at her and thought. She looks exactly like the lady's maid in the game. Villainous Penelope Eckhart became angry and said to her, Why the hell is she doing this to a sleeping person? The servant replied to her, I have prepared water for you to bathe in, so please go and wash, my lady. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, Damn it! My voice won't come out. Ugh, does this mean I can't speak unless choices appear? The servant thought. I didn't even hope for her to attend on me. But a mere bowl of cold water is too much, Villainous Penelope Eckhart said. I knew that she was treated indifferently by everyone, but I was unaware of details like this. She thought. Needles, this didn't show up in the GA. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also thought. It did dash. Here see Penelope died helplessly from the Crown Prince's sword. It was during the death scene. Crap, anyone would think those were blood stains. Was that actually a clue about this? How was anyone supposed to recognize that? Villainous Penelope Eckhart was in the bath and thought. The game is uselessly detail-oriented. Ugh, great. The servant knocked the door from outside and said to her, My lady, breakfast is ready. The servant also asked her, Will you be a little while longer? Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. God damn her. Villainous Penelope Eckhart touched the water and thought. I have no choice. I suffered years in that doghouse I was forced to call my home. This doesn't even tickle me. Please have a seat, my lady, the servant said to her. Please enjoy. You must be hungry. The breakfast was ready and placed on the table. The servant looked and asked, Is she calling this garbage food right now? She's telling me to eat this. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked surprised. Villainous Penelope Eckhart glanced and thought, I know these choices. It was a scene I had to redo twice at the beginning of hard mode. I chose wrong twice, and each ended in game over. Right now, I am in that game event. She looked the water tab and thought, I know the two that are traps. Villainous Penelope Eckhart dropped everything and said to the servants, If I choose one. The poor maid rushes to the puke and tells of the villainess's wickedness. He brother looked her and pointed his finger and said her, If the oldest brother hears of this, I'll be locked up without a single drop of water and starved to death. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought that I can't choose to either. The younger brother happens to walk by right at that moment and witnesses the scene. And when he pushes me off the maid, my neck will be accidentally stabbed by a fork on the floor, and I died. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought, Am I like an ocean sunfish, attracting parasites? Before I would have been annoyed and gone back to a different event at this point. This is really. There is no reset button. Villainous Penelope Eckhart picked the spoon and put it into the bowl and looked surprised. My body automatically. Villainous Penelope Eckhart eat and said, One servant looked shocked and said, Huh? Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, This is food? You've got to be kidding me. This is disgusting swill. Villainous Penelope Eckhart shouted and closed her eyes and said, Yarke. Villainous Penelope Eckhart takes and said, My body won't stop. Servant asked her, My lady, are you really? Villainous Penelope Eckhart shouted and said, How much of this food do I have to eat until I clear this event? Servant replied, Yarrp. He came and asked, What is going on? Servant looked him and said, Oh. And Master Reynold. Villainous Penelope Eckhart shouted and said, Yarrk. Master Reynold asked, Why do I have to suffer like this? She said when she dropped the bone on the floor, That godforsaken family. Go tell father if you think it's unfair. You can't, can you? Father doesn't pay any attention to you. She was sit on the floor and thought, No one cares if you starve or not, get bullied at school or don't, because you aren't really our family. Food, school, life. Those two bastards never left me alone. Father's wife died of illness before I was even born. But they acted like I, a child, was an enemy to their mother. Because of those bastardos, I got stomach illnesses so often it got tedious. I've suffered through this situation more than enough in my life. Yet even in this game world that isn't actually real life. Master Reynold asked from her HUI, Are you okay? Villainous Penelope Eckhart replied, Master Reynold asked, What is this? Master Reynolds looked shocked. He said to the servant, hey. Villains asked her, what did you just feed her? Servant shouted and said, gasp. Dukes shouted and said, master. It's just, gasp. Even if you dare disrespect the Duke's household, there is a limit. A mere maid gives this garbage to their mistress for food. Master, Dukes also shouted and said, this isn't what it looks like. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, Tio her leave this room now. Servant said, H. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said her, I will be telling my father and brother about this. Is anyone outside? Butler, another servant came and asked, young master, is there a problem? Master Reynolds said her, take this B*TCH and lock her up. Servant shouted while they picked her. Master. I'm sorry. Master. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, UHH. Master Reynolds put his hand on her shoulder and asked, hey, are you okay? Master Reynolds also asked, why did you just foolishly sit there and eat that? You should have flipped the table and screamed like you normally do. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked him and thought, if I didn't eat it, I would have died with a fork to my neck because of you. Even if I wanted to say that, I can't even speak because there are no damn multiple choice options popping up. She explained about him pink hair. So this situation was resolved thanks to the second son of the Duke. But could that maid alone be the cause of all this? It would not be an exaggeration to say that all the staff here have one and the same heart. If it weren't for the fact that all the main figures in this house, including this bastard here, have turned a blind eye, this could have never happened. Master Reynolds asked, hey, you don't look good at all. Should I call a doctor? Villainous Penelope Eckhart turned and thought choices again. Even now, I have to be cautious if I don't want to die. Seriously, if I didn't know anything about this world, I would have been grateful for your concern. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, but I know that you don't mean any of your words. Villainous Penelope Eckhart was sit on the chair whilst she was stands with her, and she said, don't bother. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought, Yuffin. Master Reynolds turned and said, there isn't a doctor in this estate who can make time for you anyway. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought, stuff your face with whatever you want. You can even die if you wish. Villainous Penelope Eckhart opened her eye and thought, that's villainous. Penelope Eckhart looked with surprised eyes and thought, last night, it was definitely -10%. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked the water bowl and thought, well, negative is still negative. Villainous Penelope Eckhart still thought that Penelope Eckhart. I thought this while playing the game too, but she really is pretty. If I hadn't finally won my independence, I would have considered this a Gusen. Magenta hair and turquoise eyes, exactly the same as the game. A face that nevertheless seems vicious despite its beauty. I guess a villainess is still a villainess. Come to think of it, what was the game's description of Penelope again? In hard mode, the story develops from the perspective of the villainess, Penelope Eckhart. She tapped yes and thought, would you like to see the character introduction? The heroine of Daughter of the Duke Love Project Hard Mode. She is the daughter of the one and only Eckhart Dukeship in the Empire of Yorka, where this game takes place. However, she was originally a no-name commoner girl. Her widowed mother was a poor traveling merchant, and when Penelope lost her to sickness at the age of 12, she looked his hand and thought her resemblance to his long-lost daughter caught the eye of Duke Eckhart, and he adopted her. When she was a child she thought the past. However, as time passed and she grew up, either the pink hair of the dead Duchess Eckhart nor the blue eyes symbolic of the House of Eckhart could be seen in her. Now, she is the Duke's fake daughter, who receives attention from no one, including the Duke himself, and goes around doing wicked things anywhere and anytime. What are the circumstances behind the person who became the world's greatest villainess? Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought about him that he should have searched harder for his own daughter. Why did he have to bring an innocent girl into this? The Duke's fake daughter, an unsatisfying knock-off of the real heroine. She's like me. The way she lived in poverty until her mother died, and she was taken in. And the way that she lived in isolation after losing her father's interest and was scorned by everyone in the house. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also thought I didn't know we were so similar while playing the game. She takes the bad and thought, but I had finally escaped. Villainous Penelope Eckhart very happy and said I coped with living in that damn house for so long, then got accepted to a prestigious college, and I had gotten my own home. Even if it was cramped and dirty, I could be completely at rest in it. He tapped her hand on the wall and said I had finally escaped those bastards. S0, why? It's not even normal move. At this rate, this is no better than before, he thought. Why? Villainess. Penelope Eckhart thought that after just one day, I am already well aware of what kind of treatment Penelope receives in the Duke's household. If common decency and sense existed here, they would not be able to harass the formerly adopted Duke's daughter with needles or swill, no matter how wicked or fake she is. Penelope was only 12 when she was adopted by the Duke. If this abuse started then, villainous Penelope Eckhart looked strange eyes and thought, is this what they call a villainess of creation? Since there is very little a young child can do when the adults won't listen, no matter how much she shouts. He's strange and thought, who is pitying whom? She said, I'm Penelope now. Now, like Penelope in the game, I can be killed by the male characters at any moment. Villainous Penelope Eckhart take a pen and try to write something and thought, let's be calm. As long as I'm Penelope, I need to find a way to live. First, I have to organize the information I have, while she take a phone again and thought, like what kind of game, this world I've entered is. In Daughter of the Duke Love Project Hard Mode, it is extremely difficult to accumulate affection, and it is also easy to lose affection. Unlike normal mode, where the base is 30%, hard mode starts with a base affection of 0%. Special male protagonists start with negative affection. When the affection score is negative, the probability of a death ending in the story is high. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said while she wrote first the characters. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked the screen and pressed the yes button and thought, there are a total of 5 male protagonists in this game. She said first, Derek Eckhart and Reynold Eckhart, Penelope's adoptive brothers and the 2 sons of the Duke Eckhart. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked the screen of mob and thought first, I have to organize the information I have. To understand what kind of game this world I've entered is. Villainous Penelope Eckhart tell about the Derek Eckhart, that a severe and cold noble. Derek is the eldest son and heir of the Eckhart dukeship, though he has no interest in Penelope as he is preoccupied with inheriting the dukeship. He appears to harbor hatred and contempt for her for taking the place of his younger sister. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also told about Reynold, that the bad-tempered second son of Duke Eckhart is belligerent and has a foul mouth. Whenever he sees Penelope, he busies himself with getting her in trouble, so he is one of the people in the Duke's household whom you must watch out for. Villainous Penelope Eckhart became strange and thought, they're basically the same as the bastards in my family. She was wrote and thought Derek and Reynold, they were the ones easiest to win over in normal mode. When they were sit together, she thought in a way, it was natural. The 2 of them were blood-related siblings of Yvonne, the heroine of normal move, so their ending was just becoming a harmonious family, with no need to court them. Penelope is not related by blood, so a story that's different from normal mode might be in store. She wrote both of their names and she thought, there's no hope, Indiana, these bastards. Master Reynold shouted and said one of them even started with -10%. Why? Because the creators set it up this way. It's a hint that I should give up early on since there's no hope, Indiana, the first place. Hurry and stuff your face with whatever you please and then die. Asterisk, not actual dialogue. Penelope thought, and even hearing the word brother makes me shiver now. The next male protagonist is the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince of the Empire of Eorca is a cruel tyrant who treats humans like dirt. Maybe there is an ill-fated reason for his disposition. You have not advanced sufficiently through Callisto's route. Interact more with Callisto from Penelope's perspective. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked shocked and thought, the Crown Prince. Come to think of it, besides the brothers, the only information I have of the others is what I obtained in normal mode. In normal mode, the tyrant who treats humans like flies meets angelic Yvonne and is reformed. He then punishes the villainous Penelope. There, it could have been considered justice, but in hard mode, villainous Penelope Eckhart smiled and thought he was no different from the Grim Reaper. In reality, Penelope had died at the hands of the Crown Prince more than anyone else in hard move. Thanks to him, restarting and could barely advance. Let's not get anywhere close to this guy. Next, Winter Verdandi thought the Marquis of the House of Verdandi is a sorcerer. He does things like mask his identity, acting as an eccentric merchant and dealing in all kinds of information and secret objects. You have not advanced sufficiently through Winter's route. Interact more with Winter from Penelope's perspective. Penelope Eckhart put pen in her mouth and thought Winter. He was the one who revealed Yvonne's identity in normal move. Every time the villainous Penelope was planning some dangerous scheme, he would protect Yvonne with the unique information he possessed. He also helped a lot in increasing Yvonne's fame. Courteous and romantic, he held nothing back in helping Yvonne both materially and spiritually. But Penelope Eckhart sit on the chair and thought, what was he like in hard move? I think I was too busy getting killed by the Crown Prince, or my brothers, to make any progress with him. I'll leave him in for now. Though there's no telling what he's like right now. There's still more hope with him than the other three so far. Penelope Eckhart still thought, and last. Eccles said he is the taciturn apprentice knight of the House of Eckhart. Though he is currently enslaved by the victorious nation, he was a noble in the fallen kingdom of his homeland and enters the Duke's household after his sword skills catch the eye of Duke Eckhart. You have not advanced sufficiently through Eccles' route. Interact more with Eccles from Penelope's perspective. I have the most hope. Indiana Eccles among the 5 male protagonists. The Duke discovers him puring an evening outing to a nearby household, and he pays a hefty price to bring him in. He is a skilled figure, who receives the title and honor of Swordmaster in the latter half of normal move. Furthermore, he was the only love interest who showed sympathy toward the villainous Penelope to the very end. Perhaps because of his sense of honor toward a mistress he had once served, he was the most neutral among the male characters when Penelope and Yvonne clashed. Penelope Eckhart thought, though I haven't even met him in hard move, still, he is my highest chance of surviving. Because I constantly got stuck in hard move, the information I know is severely limited. Even if I did know more, I don't know yet how much of the game's original system would apply in this reality. I cannot let the male protagonist's affections score prop to negative, and I have to achieve an ending with someone before Penelope's coming of age ceremony. Penelope Eckhart also thought the day the real heroine returns in the game. In normal move, the story begins on the day of Penelope's coming of age ceremony, when the Duke's real daughter, Yvonne, returns. In other words, the setting of hard move happens a little earlier than the normal mode story. She looked the sword and thought, if I don't reach an ending before then, the story will progress into normal mode, and the male protagonists, who care for Yvonne, will no doubt try to punish the villainess. The day Penelope, the Duke's fake daughter, comes of age, she loses everything because of the Duke's real daughter. Penelope Eckhart became worried and thought, even now, the risk of a game over pervades everything. If it gets to that point, there is no hope. Realistically, all that would await me would be death at the hands of the male protagonists. She shouted and thought, that can happen. Yes, after finally escaping my own damned family, how could I just die inside a game like this? She thought, I refuse to die. I will do anything I need to survive. I will most definitely survive and return to my life. Without fail. Duke said, my lady. She turned and looked him. He said, the Duke seeks your presence. Penelope Eckhart glanced him and said, this person is. Penelope Eckhart looked him with shocked eyes and said, so he just opens the door to the Duke's daughter's room without waiting for an answer? Even the guy who worked for my family wasn't this rude. She thought, what do I do? Should I get mad? Oh, right. I can't even decide to be mad on my own here. Something really has to be done about these goddamn multiple choice answers. She smiled and said, oh, right. There's that other method. Penelope Eckhart said, okay. This worked out well. Luckily, the puke is looking for me. This is my chance. She said, Father. Penelope Eckhart came into the office and said, Father. Look at this. I got accepted. Accepted? Father replied, so what? I'm sure you didn't come here just to say that. Penelope Eckhart thought, please. Let me move out. I would like to attend school while living near campus. That's not ask, is it? He said, her move out. She said while she holding a pages, all right. Make preparations. It's finally coming to an end. I did not study like mad to get accepted into a prestigious university just so I could be accepted by my family. It was simply to escape this hellish house. It's foolish to long for love from humans who treat me worse than a pet animal. Penelope Eckhart thought, I got glances like that. Often enough before entering this world. He raised his hand and said her, "It is the butler, your grace." "I have brought Lady Penelope." He said. "Come in. Come. She asked, "For what reason do you seek my presence?" He said her, "I heard there was some trouble this morning." She thought yet again, the multiple choice answers. Who would look kindly upon such an ill-mannered adopted daughter? "Why did I even choose number 2 while playing the game before?" she said. "If at least Penelope's hair and eyes were similar in color to his true daughter's, I could have hoped for a thread of compassion from the Duke." He placed his pen on the table and said, "I can't possibly choose from these 3 answers." She said, "Please." Penelope Eckhart also said him that I just have to bypass one crisis. "I hope that this choice doesn't lead to death." "Your grace need pay no attend. Tie-in." He said her, "Penelope." He said her, "It has already been 6 years since you have entered this household." Penelope Eckhart said him, 6 years? That's right. The heroines' ages are both 18. Since Penelope was 12 when she was adopted, she shouted and thought, wait a second. Coming of age ceremonies in this world are on one's 18th birthday, right? He was still in the office and said her, "Then exactly how much time do I have until the Duke's real daughter returns?" "I don't know if you know, but it is not easy to step foot into this household. Only those who have proven their worth through rigorous testing can step through the Eckhart doors." She was stand and said him, "Since I adopted you, I have not held back on resources spent on you. I even accommodated your ridiculous extravagances." He thought and said, "However, I do not know what worth you have proven during your 6 years at Eckhart. Just a little more." "Any time now," Penelope Eckhart said finally. Penelope Eckhart again looked at the screen and thought, what is this? This game has so many functions. Are all games like this these days? Interesting. Do I have to turn it on? It's hard enough as is. I'll turn it on later if I feel like it. He looked at her and said, What are you doing right now?" She said him, "It is all my fault." Penelope Eckhart shouted and said, "Father." Father said, "What, father? You say?" Penelope Eckhart holding the mob, and she thought, if the multiple choice answers are turned off, you may engage with the game more freely. With the disappearance of the multiple choice answers, you may act however you wish. This is recommended if you are interested in more in-depth play. Turn off multiple choices and fulfill special conditions that will unlock events. At the time, I ignored this function. She shouted and said, "You, if I am right, this setting." Penelope Eckhart said, "Fa. There. Is necessary for my survival in this world." Penelope Eckhart said, "It worked. I can speak and move without multiple choice answers now. Who knew I'd be so moved by the ability to speak as I wish? I am sorry for causing trouble while I am under probation." Penelope Eckhart fell down and said him, "I caused a scandal after not conducting myself properly with a subordinate. I will reflect deeply upon this during the remainder of my probation." Father said her, "You. All things considered, the trouble this morning was not my fault. I was the victim. But that's not important, considering Penelope's behavior up until now. It'll only hurt me if I act stubbornly. My life depends on a show of humility." He thought, "I know that I have behaved childishly and arrogantly these past years. If you forgive me this one time, I will work to prove my worth until my coming of age ceremony." Penelope Eckhart said him shoutly, "So please forgive me this one time." Father. Father looked her and thought, "I have heard you." He said, "Get up from the floor." He said her, and Eckhart's words are not to be taken lightly. "Penelope, don't waste the opportunity you have earned today." Penelope Eckhart replied, "I won't." She said him, "Thank you, Father." She go out and thought, "Phew. I got through that somehow." She thought, "I don't know if that was the best decision, but it seems like it was enough. The puke is not someone whose favor I need to earn anyway." Penelope Eckhart thought, "I should just be thankful that I came out alive." She said him, "I'm sure I told you to live quietly and not to make a sound, as if you were dead." She thought this voice, Emily, he thought, was a loyal maid who worked for this household for nearly 10 years. She looked him surprised and thought, "No one would serve as your lady's maid, even when we said we would increase the pay." He thought that she was the only one who was willing to try to appease you. But that too came to an end today. She asked, "Do you feel good having caused such an uproar and driven out the only maid you had?" He shouted and thought, "When did I do that?" "Your brother is the one who caused an uproar. I'm the one who was almost driven out of this life because I ate that trash. Take that B*TCH. Take that B*TCH and lock her up. He said, but if I tried to make that point here, Penelope Eckhart thought, hold it in. If it drops more now, I'll die. Maybe I'll use the power of this game system. Penelope Eckhart smiled when he looked her multiple choices off. This game is out to get me. He asked her, do you not find my words worthy of answering anymore? She thought, I'm sorry for causing trouble. Penelope Eckhart said, my lord. He asked what? She said, how many more times will I have to beg for forgiveness for things I have not even done? She thought, I have a scratch because of that bitch, father. I'm sorry, father. My brothers, I'm sorry. Why is everything that girl does so vulgar? Like some rat. Like you have said, I have not known my place all this time. I have pride too, you know. It feels dirty and pathetic to bow my head so low. But I've done it countless times already in order to survive. Like I'm doing now. Penelope Eckhart said to him, it is my fault for not behaving myself. Thus that maid does not need to be driven away. I even begged for father's forgiveness a moment ago. Penelope Eckhart thought and said, it's all so annoyingly similar. Though, to be honest, Penelope did behave wickedly. If begging for forgiveness will allow me to live. He replied, from now on, I will make sure not to do anything that attracts your attention, in this game world that isn't even my reality. Penelope Eckhart said him when she was in front of him, so please forgive me one more time. I'll beg as much as you desire. He said, just one more time. She thought, I will let this go just one more time. Be warned that this is the last time I will let your impudence pass. Yes. I wouldn't dare in front of you. She said, that's done. Let's go back now. Since I've been starving since this morning because of that damn maid. My body has no. He said, her deep blue eyes. She looked him and thought, I heard you consumed rotten food. Shouldn't a doctor be called? He knew that it wasn't my fault, and still he was trying to blame me for the matter of the maid. If I hadn't begged for forgiveness, in accordance to the game's story, he would have mercilessly. Penelope Eckhart said, no, my lord. Penelope Eckhart also said that I just told you that I would not do anything to attract your attention. Excuse me. He thought, leave me alone. How can she always call you as her brothers then? He surprised and looked. Penelope Eckhart said, Fen, I'm still alive. She thought, I guess it wasn't a waste of time to stubbornly keep playing the game through the night. And I even remembered to call him my lord during that craziness. He said her while dealing with Derek. If I chose answers that addressed him as my brother, his affection score would decrease. It must be because Penelope was so detestable to him that even being addressed that way was repulsive. Penelope Eckhart thought that I died so many times because I didn't know that. I don't know what would happen if I did that here now. Since he seems more difficult than my oldest brother in my real life, I will never call Derek my brother moving forward. Penelope Eckhart said I should eat something. My eyes are closing. It isn't even noon yet. Too many things happened. I don't want to think about anything right now. She asked, why was this in your room? He said, Reynold. Said answer, rat B*TCH. You stole it, didn't you? Father looked him and said, Reynold, watch you. My line of sight is lower. And the voices are different too. She said, I see. This is Penelope's dream. Duke Eckhart said answer, Penelope. Why was Yvonne's necklace with you? I'm certain you were told that entry into her room was forbidden. Father, I'm telling you, it's obvious she stole it. I didn't steal it. I never did that. Yeah, right. Then how did the necklace that father gave Yvonne end up in your drawer? Villainous Penelope Eckhart said that I don't know either. I've never even seen a necklace like that before, and I've never entered that room. He replied, I saw it. Duke Eckhart also said when servants looked him Penel. I have seen Lady Penelope go up to the third floor often these past few weeks. She thought, and said when I checked, the door to Lady Yvonne's room was open. What? You old dash, Duke Eckhart said and thought. I didn't do it. I really didn't do it, father. I have never entered that room. This was a lie. I just needed to find a place to hide from the cruel maids. I wasn't trying to steal anything. She replied, Penel. Make sure to lock all the rooms on the third floor, and board up Yvonne's room. Duke Eckhart said her yes. Your Grace. Villainous Penelope Eckhart shouted and said, and called the jewel merchant so that Penelope can purchase her own jewelry. Father, you should have pissed off when we asked nicely. They both turned and looked her. Derek Eckhart said her, how dare you lie, you vulgar thing. She replied, after that day. Penelope purchased an incredible amount of jewels from the merchants who had been called to the estate. She ignored the servants, and did nothing even when her two adoptive brothers raged that she didn't know her place and was extravagant. And after that day. She never called the father ever again. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. She asked, who? My lady, it is the butler. He thought, the butler. What now? Duke Eckhart said, I've come to you because of an urgent matter. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said and thought, an urgent matter? Has someone slandered me again? He asked her, it is nothing, really, but you must select a new lady's maid. She shocked and thought, a maid? Duke Eckhart said her, yes. A new girl must be assigned before dinner, and so she said, wait, that's it? That's the reason he opened the door without permission while his master was sleeping. She also said him that. Butler, what was your name again? Duke Eckhart said her, pardon. She replied, state your name. Sj thought, that my name is Penel, my lady. You don't have a last name, do you? Then, what is my name, my lady? Why do you ask such questions? Sudden answer when I asked. He said that. You are Penelope Eckhart. Villainous Penelope Eckhart replied, yes. Penelope Eckhart. A noble. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also said him that I've never known a commoner, especially one without a surname, who dared to enter the room of nobles as he pleased. Is there something special about you, butler? Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked him and said, moreover, the idea of a random man entering the bedchamber of a young noble lady without permission. I wonder what people would think if such rumors were to go around. Duke Eckhart shouted and said her, my lady, how could you say that? Must I explain every single thing until my throat is dry? I'm sorry, my lady, Duke Eckhart also said in very angrily, in my urgency. I was disrespectful. Please forgive, she thought, for the time being. Butler, I find even your face offensive. Duke Eckhart thought and said, so, if you have any business with me in the future, send someone else in your stead. But my lady, selecting maids in this household is my jurisdiction, yes or no? She thought that I only want to hear one or the other. Duke Eckhart thought. Yes, I understand, my lady. He said her, then attending to your dinner. Penelope Eckhart raised her head and said, it's unnecessary, so leave. He replied, yes. My lady. Penelope Eckhart fell on the bed and said, phew, I feel much better now. She thought maybe I was too harsh. He is elderly, after all, but considering Penelope had to look up to that man for 6 years, he wouldn't go tattle on me to the Duke just because I set him straight a little. Come to think of it, there should also be some system for raising Penelope's reputation among the people around her in the game. I wonder if it will be okay. What am I thinking? I already have enough on my plate with the affection scores. Penelope Eckhart thought, stupid Penelope. She should have just used her status if she got angry, instead of raising her voice and doing wicked things. Penelope Eckhart said, you're the Duke's daughter. Servant asked her, my lady, it is the head housekeeper. Come in. Did you have a restful night? Did what I say last night work? It seems my door won't be opened without my permission anymore, at least. Penelope Eckhart looked her and said, what is it? Servant said her, I have come in regards to the matter of selecting your lady's maid, because of what happened yesterday. If you have a girl in mind, please tell me. She thought, otherwise I will find a new girl on my own. She asked, what was the name of the girl who was originally attending to me? Servant thought, excuse me. Are you speaking of Emily? Oh, yes. Emily. Has she been dismissed already? No, she hasn't been dismissed. Then what is she doing? Servant looked her and said her. For the offense of neglecting the attendance of her ladyship, her pay will be cut for 3 months, and she will be doing laundry. But why do you ask? So she does seem to know the general situation. Penelope Eckhart replied her, have her continue to be my lady's maid. Servant surprised and said, what? She said, it's uncomfortable not having someone attend to me immediately. Even if a new maid is selected, it would take time until she got accustomed. It would be better to just have the previous maid continue. She thought, if you've heard me, Go and send for her now. Servant said her. However, the young master has punished her himself for disrespecting my lady. She asked her, is it impossible? Penelope Eckhart said her, I told you to send for her since I'm uncomfortable, so send for her, if you insist. I will consult with the Duke first, my lady. She said until the very end. No one ever listens to what Penelope says the first time. Penelope Eckhart smiled and thought it wasn't like this in normal move. Everyone listened to Yvonne's words with devotion. She asked, do they want me to be wicked and throw things? Do they want me to act the way Penelope has always acted? There's no need. Penelope Eckhart said her, I'll go to the Duke himself right now. Servant shocked and said, what? Penelope Eckhart said her, since it's come to this, I'll give him a thorough explanation of yesterday's matter, and petition for him to forgive Emily. There's no problem then, is there? Servant replied, Emily isn't the leader, nor is she the only person who has harassed the Duke's daughter. But if it were to become known that someone with the title of head housekeeper had tacitly accepted the abuse of the Duke's daughter, what kind of uproar would the house be in? Where is father? My lady, the Duke has left to visit the royal palace in the early morning. Penelope Eckhart said her, really? Then when he comes back, servant replied, I will bring Emily here immediately. Servant said, my worrying only seems to have increased with my age. I couldn't even recognize your ladyship's generosity. I apologized. She thought it's too late for the game's reputation system. Penelope Eckhart said her, I hope I don't have to say the same thing twice again. Head housekeeper. No one probably needed to fear the Duke's daughter until now, since whatever happened, all they needed to do was frame the Duke's daughter for some wicked act. I have no intention of continuing to be the victim until I die. Penelope Eckhart looked and said, you may leave. Servant knock the door. Knock knock. Servant said her, and my lady, I have prepared your breakfast. She looked the breakfast. Penelope Eckhart take a fork and starts having breakfast. Penelope Eckhart said her, Emily? Emily replied, why yes. My lady. Give me the needle. What? What do you? She thought, the needle you prick me with every morning. Emily looked her and said, gasp. Emily also fell down and shouted, my lady, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said her, viv you not hear from the head housekeeper? Don't make me say the same thing twice. Emily said her, my lady. Hand it over. Emily take a neek and said her, here. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart thought she hid it well. Penelope. She said, how much did it hurt? Those countless mornings of waking up to the pain of a ripped arm that no one would have acknowledged. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said her, look closely, Emily. Emily replied, yes. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart became angry and shouted, urgh. Emily also looked her and said, agh. My lady, My lady, why are you doing this? Sniff. My lady. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said her, there's no need to cry like that, Emily, since you're the one who made these wounds. Emily said her, what? That I made? Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said, right now, there are 2, but it could become 3, 4, or even 5. Emily weeping and said, my going forth, I will continue to let you attend to me, and I will accept everything. The washing, water, clothing, food, everything. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said her, but the longer you attend to me, the more wounds that may appear on this hand. Perhaps someone may notice and think it strange. Emily tear poured out and said, my lady, she thought, who could be the arrogant abuser who scorns the name of Eckhart? They would be on the alert for the culprit. For example, someone like my brother, Reynold. She said her, Emily. This all depends on how you behave. Get up now. Your mistress has finished eating, so you must continue your duties, isn't that so? Villainous. Penelope Eckhart thought, at least she seems to understand things well. I may be able to use her if I wanted to. She said her, nothing much would have changed if my maid had been replaced anyway. It's better to keep a card I can use in that case. Emily thought that her weakness is that she has abused me before. She's the type that knows what's in her interest and doesn't have too much backbone. Villainous. Penelope Eckhart said her, those are the points I like. Master Reynold. Said her, you. Master Reynold. Shouted and said her, what the hell are you doing, Master Reynold? Said her, why the hell? Servant. Emily shocked and said, you. Master. Penelope thought, while having breakfast bad, Must get rid of anything that could pierce me to death. Villainous Penelope Eckhart turned, looked, and said, You may leave now, Emily. You're not going anywhere. Now, Master Reynolds. Looked her and said, Tell me. What's your motive behind this? Villainous Penelope Eckhart also looked him with surprised eyes and said, UGHMR, negative. I mean, he asked, Do you ignore my words now too? She said, What, Master Reynolds? Became angry and said her, Why are you using that B***tch still? Reynolds Eckhart, Penelope's adoptive brother, who is 2 years older than she, so this is how he always clashes with Penelope. It's just like my relationship with my damn second brother, who has the same age difference. He smiled and thought, Serves you right. Who do you think you are? You can piss off if you feel like it's unfair. You should have pissed off when we asked nicely. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said the multiple choices would be useless even if I turned them on. I doubt it'd be a proper conversation. It's not a big deal. Don't concern yourself with such matters. Master Reynolds said. What? Master Reynolds also said her, It's not a big deal to have served their master rotten food? Villainous Penelope Eckhart replied, And oh, what I'm saying is, Master Reynolds shouted and said her that lowly thing didn't know her place and scorned the Eckhart name, she thought. That lowly thing didn't know her place. Master Reynolds said her, Insolent things like that are unnecessary. There are plenty of people who would be honored to work for this household even if they weren't paid, she thought. Reynolds. How dare you, lowly thing, not know your place and harass the Duke's daughter? She said. Ha. I was wondering why it sounded so familiar. It's what he said every time he saw Penelope in normal move. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said. I was wondering why it sounded so familiar. It's what he said every time he saw Penelope in normal move. Master Reynolds asked her. Ha? Is this a laughing matter? How contemptible did you seem that a maid would do that to you while you just sat there? She said. That's right. How contemptible the Duke's daughter seemed to the entirety of the Duke's household. I already met with father regarding this. Master Reynolds said her. I'm sure you did. I demanded that insolent thing be expelled immediately. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said her father and our eldest brother didn't want Emily expelled. Master Reynolds said. Huh? She thought and said father and brother? Though they never said that exactly. And Derek only went on about Emily's work experience in order to threaten Penelope. But I didn't make up something that isn't true either. If he happens to ask further, I can just say that that's how I interpreted things. Master Reynolds thought. And so instead of expelling her, she is to continue being your lady's maid? Yes, that's correct. Master Reynolds shouted and said. Are you stupid? You should have said you didn't want to. She asked. What would that change? Master Reynolds shouted and said. What would that change? Master Reynolds said her. Are you saying you'll continue to eat rotten food until you die, or what? Villainous Penelope Eckhart asked. Can you guarantee that a new maid wouldn't do the same? Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought. Let's calm down. I can't be sarcastic and say that this is all because of them. It would only test Reynolds' conceit toward this household. Even if it's gone up a little, it's still negative. If it goes down from here, it's 100% a death ending for me. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said. I didn't go to father yesterday to ask whether he would or wouldn't expel that maid. He asked what? Then why? She said. I went down on my knees and begged for his forgiveness for causing trouble during my probation. Master Reynolds asked. On your knees, she said. Him you begged. Wait, did father tell you to do that? She also said that I told him that I would be careful not to cause another disturbance during the remainder of my probation. So, let this pass quietly. My risk of death decreases by half if you just stay quiet. He thought. So don't pick a fight, please. She said. Please, brother. She shouted and said. Do you have no pride? Even after being made a fool, you'll dismiss this quietly? Are you insane? Master Reynolds shouted and replied. I'd rather you scream and throw and break things like you did before. That's more like you. Isn't this what you expected from the moment you put that child's necklace in my room? Villainous Penelope Eckhart said. You've been like this to me all this time because this is what you wanted. Master Reynolds said. What? She thought the butler, the housekeeper, and Emily are all nothing but weak players. The chief instigator is here. Master Reynolds said her Penelope. Back then, villainous Penelope Eckhart said him, I'm not trying to argue over that now. Since I too have acted foolishly all these years, I'm tired of it now. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also said tired of it. My coming of age ceremony is soon. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said I can't hold on to the Eckhart household forever. Master Reynolds thought, what do you mean by that? Then are you planning on leaving the estate? Everything depends on father and my eldest brother, of course. To be honest, I don't know what will happen now either, whether I'll be able to return to my original world if I find an ending with a love interest, or if I can even last that long in the first place. Master Reynolds said, but you need not worry, since I'll never win you over, Reynolds. She said him, that's why you don't need to concern yourself with me, Reynolds. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said him, it's time for me to bathe. Will you leave? Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked him and said, huh? That expression. I've never seen that look on his face in the game. Is the affection score going to go down? I was trying to be as careful as possible. No. Master Reynolds said her, you? That means it went up, right? As much as 6%, Master Reynolds. Thought I was stupid for caring about you for even for a moment. She said him, I thought he would be the most hopeless case. It really was a good thing I turned off the multiple choices. It's risky. But if only things would continue this way. She thought, oh. Master Reynolds thought, I guess I can't call him Mr. Negative anymore. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, an invitation from the royal palace? Servant said her, yes, my lady. There will be a banquet in honor of the second prince's birthday. Emily thought, this is the invitation. It's tomorrow. Young Lord Eckhart says you must prepare. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said her, the young lord, my eldest brother. He thought, if Derek said that, it means that my probation has ended. Since they brother and sister, I am calling him my brother at least, in front of others, so there is no sense of incongruity. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, I need to prepare quickly. I would have preferred to stay in my room and just continue being attended on if I could. That way I wouldn't need to interact with the male characters. How uncomfortable would that? Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked strange and said, wait a second. I'm going to the royal palace? That means I could meet the crown prince. Thought, no, it's a guarantee. The banquet for the second prince's birthday, that's undoubtedly the episode where the crown prince first appears. Penelope died helplessly by the crown prince's sword. No. And my lady? Emily. Did father say he will also be attending tomorrow by chance? What? The Duke has to attend to some business tomorrow. He said young Lord Eckhart will be escorting you himself. She smiled and thought, I'm screwed. Servant said, Are you okay, my lady? You look rather pale. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, there's something I need to think about. Leave me for a moment. Sigh. What do I do? Illness. I need to convince Derek. But with his villainous Penelope Eckhart thought, if I try to feign personality, it'll definitely cut down his affection score. Though there might have been a chance with Reynolds. She take the mob and thought, I don't even remember anything about the events with the crown prince because I was busy dying. As soon as I'm left alone with him in the palace, I die. As soon as I talk to him, I die. I die again, and reset. Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought, if I don't go, I die. If I go, I die. What kind of damned game is this? Maybe if I use the best possible entreaty for not going. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said, oh should I just try dying? What if dying here means I can return to my original world? Wouldn't that be faster than trying to find a path with these hopeless men? And this game has a reset button. The button that automatically appears with impending death and returns me to the beginning of the game. The savior of hard move. If the multiple choice answers appear, wouldn't that also appear? Master Reynolds replied, yes. I have nothing to lose. He shouted and thought, I will meet the crown prince and try to die. Servants became very glad and said, my lady, what do you think of this dress? It's a new one you've never worn before. Would you like to try these earrings too? I think it would go well with the dress. They thought, I think a half-uppo hairstyle would be better than an updo. Aren't these girls supposed to scorn Penelope? What kind of makeup style? Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought they're more excited than I am. Even if I have gained some ground lately, what kind of total change in attitude dash? Villainous Penelope Eckhart said her bring another press in a darker shade that goes all the way up the neck. Use as few accessories as possible and same goes for everything else. Servants shouted and said what? But, my lady, this party is hosted by none other than the royal palace. There's no need to make such an effort to make me up. Do as I say. I get how they feel, but I'm telling you, I'm not going with the intention of showing off my beauty today. Servants thought I'm not completely satisfied, but this should do. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said Emily may stay. The rest of you may leave. Yes, my lady, Villainous Penelope Eckhart also said her Emily. Will you bring me gloves to match this press? My lady, you will be wearing gloves too? Right now as the perf, Emily replied of course. Villainous Penelope Eckhart said her I can't go around showing these even if they've gotten fainter. Servant shouted and said gasp asterisk if you've understood, go and get them. Why yes, Villainous Penelope Eckhart thought she thinks she's won my trust just because I've treated her well for a while. I have to remind her of her place every now and then, to keep a tight hold. Derek Eckhart said her you seem to have turned somewhat human during your probation. She's shocked and thought the first thing he says to me in so long is mocking. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also thought BT. More importantly, when did his affection score go up? I didn't even see him. Could it have gone up because he didn't have to see me? My goodness, how much does he hate seeing Penelope's face? If I knew this, I should have at least tried saying I couldn't go. Villainous Penelope Eckhart also thought whatever. Let's just get in the carriage. Villainous Penelope Eckhart looked him and said HEP. Derek Eckhart said, what is he doing instead of getting into his own carriage? Derek Eckhart shouted and said what the, are we riding to the royal palace together dash?